Every person alive is afraid of something. The question is never whether you feel fear. The question is, what do you do when it arrives? Do you freeze? Do you retreat? Or do you walk toward it, knowing that on the other side of fear is the only version of you worth becoming? 2000 years ago, a man sat down each morning and wrote about fear. Not to eliminate it, not to deny it, but to understand it so completely that it lost the power over him. He was one of the most powerful men who ever lived. And yet, he wrote like a man who wrestled with his own soul every single day. What he discovered is as true today as it was then. Stay with me. Subscribe to this channel because every Monday and Thursday we bring you the mental tools that the greatest minds in history used to build unbreakable lives. Like this video, share it with someone fighting their fear right now. Let's go. I'm Dr. TJ, a Harvard fellowship-trained surgeon and a distinguished Toastmaster. The highest honor in Toastmasters International, earned by less than 1% of members worldwide. And everything I'm about to share with you comes from decades of real-world experience at the highest levels. Marcus Aurelius became emperor of Rome in 161 AD. He ruled for 19 years, one of the longest and most turbulent reigns in Roman history. Plague, war, political conspiracy, barbarian invasions on multiple fronts. He faced every catastrophe a leader could face. And through all of it, he wrote. Not for publication, not for posterity, for himself. Every morning, before the battles, before the decisions, before the weight of empire descended, he wrote. What we know as meditations was never meant to be read by anyone else. It was a man talking to himself, honestly, relentlessly, about fear, about duty, about what it means to live well in a world that is constantly trying to break you. He was not a natural warrior. He was a philosopher who was handed an empire, and he chose every single day to show up anyway. Here is what most people misunderstand about fear. They think the goal is to eliminate it. They think courage means not being afraid. The Stoics knew differently. Fear is not the enemy. Fear is information. It tells you what matters, what is at stake, what you are not yet ready for. The problem is not the fear itself. The problem is what we do with it. Marcus Aurelius identified 3 fear responses that destroy people. The first, avoidance. Running from the thing that frightens you, which only makes it larger. The second, rumination. Lying awake, replaying the worst possible outcome until the imagined fear becomes more real than the actual situation. The third, surrender. Letting fear make the decision for you, letting it choose your life by default. He wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. End quote. But knowing that and living it are two entirely different battles. The Stoics had a practice for this, and it is one of the most powerful mental tools ever developed. They called it Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils. Every morning before the day began, the Stoic practitioner would deliberately imagine everything that could go wrong, not to catastrophize, not to spiral into anxiety, but to rob the fear of its surprise, because fear derives most of its power from the unexpected. When you have already faced the worst outcome in your mind, when you have sat with it, examined it, and decided how you will respond, it loses its teeth. Marcus Aurelius did this every morning. Before he led armies, before he made decisions that affected millions of lives, he sat with the worst and made his peace with it. And then he stood up and led. There is a second Stoic tool that is equally powerful: the dichotomy of control. Divide everything into two categories: what is in your control and what is not. Your thoughts in your control, other people's opinions not. Your effort in your control, the outcome not. Your response to fear in your control, the fear itself not. Once you draw that line clearly, most of what you fear loses its grip, because you were never afraid of the thing itself. You were afraid of your helplessness in the face of it. And helplessness is a story, not a fact. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire on earth through plague, war, and loss by returning to these two practices every single morning. He was not fearless. He was something better. He was fear-literate. He understood his fear well enough to lead anyway. Here are three quotes from Marcus Aurelius. The first: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. End quote. Marcus Aurelius and Stoic philosophy. Second quote: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. End quote. Marcus Aurelius and Stoic philosophy. The third and last quote: never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. End quote. Marcus Aurelius and Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius was afraid. Every morning he sat with his fear and wrote about it. And then he led an empire. Here is your challenge. Tonight before you sleep, write down the one thing you are most afraid of right now. Then write this sentence beneath it: what is in my control here? Circle only the things you can actually affect. Everything else, release. You cannot lead your life from a place of fear about things beyond your reach. But you can lead powerfully, daily, completely from the small circle of what is yours to control. Draw the circle. Lead from inside it. That is what the greatest warrior philosopher who ever lived did every morning. And it is what you can do tonight. Share this with someone who is paralyzed by fear right now. These tools are 2,000 years old and they have never stopped working. Like, subscribe, and come back Monday for a story of a woman who faced the entire ancient world alone and won.
You are unstoppable.